Okay, I've got it recording now. Welcome everyone, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now so you can see the presentation. Alrighty. Welcome everyone. I'm Cindy Myers, and tonight's topic is truth behind fear. So, some of the topics we're going to be covering tonight are we'll get into a little bit about me and some disclaimer stuff, but the main topic that you all came on for was we're going to talk about how the fear and flight response system doesn't always tell us the truth, and how it actually tells little lies that convince us to behave certain ways. So it's important for us to understand and become aware that our brain isn't always telling us the truth, and it's pretty unconscious, so it's tough. That's why some of these habits that we have are so hard to break, is because we don't realize when we're being told something from our fight or flight response system. And so we'll talk about some keywords to help us know when we're going into that response system and reacting as a result of it, and going into that habit that we're probably wanting to change. So those keywords are going to be real important to start becoming aware of, and then you can use some of the techniques that we'll go over, and that can help you come out of that fight or flight response system faster and choose differently. So we can go from the unconscious mind to the conscious mind. So that's going to be our topic tonight. And then we'll have time for some demos at the end and answering any of your questions. And I'll be going over a little bit of some stuff that I have coming up in the near future. So with that, we'll get going. So first of all, just a little disclaimer stuff. If you're not feeling well, please call your doctor, or if you're having a medical emergency, call 911. I don't diagnose illnesses, but what I do is remove emotions, trapped emotions, and balance your energy system so that its natural healing abilities can work alongside with what your doctor recommends doing. So with that, a little bit about me. I always like to tell a little story, I guess, of how I got into this, um, or how I work. And I wasn't coming up with much as I thought about it today. And so I just thought, well, in the beginning, I think a good thing to do is just start from the beginning, and realize, talk a little bit that I was an empath, or I am an empath. And I didn't realize it until much later in life, but looking back at my childhood, I realized that I was an emotional empath, meaning people like to tell me their problems. They were very attracted and drawn to me. Even as a little girl, adults would tell me their very adult problems. And so I've always had that ability. So I think I've always had that energy about me, um, which had its pluses and minuses. And I now think that also was a physical empath back then. I just definitely was not aware of that at all. Um, I know I was quite sickly as a kid, um, but when my mom would take me to the doctor, they could never find anything wrong with me. Well, I was probably picking up everybody else's aches and pains and not feeling well, and it would unnerve me. And so, but there was nothing ever really wrong. So, so I think I was the physical empath at picking up a lot of people's physical issues as well, but I certainly didn't know anything about it, and my parents didn't know anything about it. So, or have a clue what that was anything about. I didn't know about it until I was well into my 30s and working as an engineer at the base. And people would come in and start telling me their problems. And part of their problems was that maybe they weren't feeling well and they'd have a headache. And as they were talking about it, I'd have a headache. And as soon as they left, my headache would be gone. Or they come in and tell me about their backache. And, all of a sudden I'd have a backache. And then as soon as they left, my backache would be gone. Or sometimes I just would feel stuff all the time, both physically and emotionally. And it was really tiring. And it was a little bit scary when I started realizing that, I was picking up people's illnesses. That I didn't want it in me. And I was afraid that, was I catching this stuff? Plus, it was really sometimes very, very uncomfortable. It would be really physically painful. So I decided I better learn a little bit about it so I could hopefully control it. And I met somebody that was a gifted intuitive, and I asked them about it, and they were very generous with explaining what was going on inside me and how my energy field worked. And it wasn't my arm. We typically are told that our energy is about arm's length. Nah, that's not true at all. And so mine can be way the heck out there. So anybody crossing through that energy field, I can pick up whatever's going on in them. So it was very overwhelming, but she gave me some little tools that I could control it, and so I could be around people a little bit better, and recognize when it was mine or somebody else's, and what to do about it if it wasn't mine, how to get rid of it and clear it. So some of those simple tools that I got way in the beginning helped me get out of the fear state. And then I thought, wouldn't it be cool if I could hone this better and be able to use it to be of benefit to others. And after that, I just became addicted, for lack of a better word, in studying it and trying new things and just exploring how I could get better at using this gift or skill that I was given. And so I've been practicing and practicing and practicing for a lot of years now. And I still practice and still love learning how to expand my gifts. And it's constantly growing and getting stronger. So with that, that's a little bit about me, or maybe a lot about me. So let's get into the topic, the truth about fear. And so as soon as we talk about fear and any of the negative emotions, we're really talking about the fight or flight response system. And the way emotions work are, they're just chemicals in our bodies that are created, depending on the experience. And those chemicals go into our body. And just like food calories, we can burn off so many calories in the day, whether it's food or whether it's emotions. And if we exceed the amount of emotional calories that we can burn off in a day, they have to go somewhere. So they get stored in our bodies. So we can get what I call trapped emotions in our bodies. And those emotions are also associated with habits, of course. So they can trigger a certain habit. And it's all tied back to this fight or flight response system, because most of those habits, especially the undesirable habits, are based out of this fight or flight response system. And that fight or flight response system, it occurs in our reptilian brain, the little lizard, and it's not conscious. It's automatic, and it's designed to be that way, because if our life is dependent on it, we can't be going in and thinking about things for a long period of time. We have to be able to react really quickly. And so it's just not in the conscious part of our brain. But once we survive whatever happens in that experience, then our brain's going to go, well, next time that happens, I'm just going to repeat it, because that worked the first time. It's going to probably work the second time. And so you start having a habit. And that's how habits get established. And to our brain, it doesn't matter if it's a lion jumping out at us, or we've been startled, or we're in whatever negative, we're angry about something, somebody's upset us, and 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 that negative emotion all have a component of fear in it. And so we go right into that uh, lizard brain, and we go through that habit, through that cycle, and it's very unconscious. So how do we go from the unconscious brain to our thinking brain? That's the hard part. We would be able to change our habits very quickly, because most of us know that these undesirable habits aren't good for us. But that's why New Year's resolutions rarely work. It's because we go right into this unconscious lizard brain, and no thinking is allowed. It's a hard drive. We go from in the driver's seat, and we get thrown into the back seat, and the lizard brain starts driving the car whenever we get triggered. So it's important to figure out, how do we cross over into that conscious brain? So so how does that happen? Well, before we get into the how and the why, or how to change it, when we get triggered into when we're having an experience, and we get triggered and we're going into that reptilian brain, it's not always telling us the truth. For example, okay, I'm having somebody upsets me, and I'm getting really mad. So how do I get out of mad? Oh, I know. I want to go get a cookie. I don't even like cookies, but I may want to get a cookie. Why? Even though I go, you know what? I don't want to have a cookie, but you know what? I'm going to get that cookie. I can't stop myself from going to get that cookie. Why is that? Even though I may not really want it, yet I'm going to go, I may go out of my way to go get that cookie. It's because lizard brain is saying, no, no, no. When we got out of this that time many years ago, that's how you got out of it. So this is going to save your life by taking that cookie. You're going to feel better by taking that cookie. So it's telling us something that just isn't true. It's not, it makes up a different experience. Have you ever wondered why two or three people can look at the same experience, witness something, and tell you three different things about that same experience? It's because they're coming from their whole background, and whatever they're witnessing in that experience, especially something kind of traumatic, they're coming from their lizard brain, and their lizard brain is interpreting it. Now, maybe one person isn't triggered by it, and so they may be in their conscious brain, and they can say, no, 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 that's not how that was at all. It was, I saw the same accident, and it was a red car. And the other person who may have been triggered by it because they had been in an automobile accident, and the automobile accident that they were in had a black car, and they would swear that was a black car, because that's what their memory and their reptilian brains remembered it as. But the one that didn't have it before, you wouldn't be able to convince them otherwise, because that, to them, their reptilian brain is saying, nope, this is how it is. This is the truth. And so you can be in this total conflict with somebody, because one is in an unconscious mind and the other one's in a conscious mind. So how do we get ourselves out of that lizard brain that isn't always telling us the truth and making decisions for us? It makes decisions. It tells us to turn. It tells us to go get that cookie. It tells us to go smoke that cigarette. It tells us, you don't want to go to the gym today. It's cold. It makes up all these excuses for you that may be true or not true. But it's making excuses for you to do whatever you're being triggered to go do. But they're usually not the truth. So I ask myself, in the next chart or two, we're going to get into some of the keywords to look for in knowing when you're getting triggered. But one of the questions, when I realize that I'm getting triggered, is I ask myself this, and I will even say it out loud, or I will definitely think it to myself. I'll ask myself, do I really want my lizard brain making the decision right now? Do I want that little itty bitty brain? That little, and I don't think of a scary looking lizard, because most of the time that I'm getting triggered and making decisions aren't really these big major life and death decisions. There are a lot of little ones, but they're impacting how we go throughout our daily life. We don't realize how often we go into our lizard brain. And so the more we recognize when we're getting triggered and going into that lizard brain, the, the more we can become into our conscious brain and make conscious, authentic, more truthful decisions for ourselves. So I ask myself, do I really want that lizard brain making those decisions for me right now? Do I want that cute little lizard, that little cute little gecko? It's cute, but I don't want it to make my decisions for me, you know? So I do ask that question. So let's get into those keywords and how do we recognize when we go into that unconscious mind? Because if you're not conscious of it, how do you know, right? So I listen to these keywords, and really the first one, need, is the one that you'll say most. Most people use that one the most. But it's need, could, should. If you use those words, I need to do that, I should do that, I could have done that, you're being triggered. Most of the time, you are being triggered. Not 100%, but a good chunk of the time, you are being triggered and going into your unconscious brain. Because if you need to do something and all of a sudden you say, but I got to go do this. I need to go pay my bills. Oh, but it's nice out. I think I'll go do this. Well, if I really needed to do them, I would do it, right? You can think of a lot of different examples. I should go take the trash out right now. Oh, I hate taking the trash out. Or it's dark out, so I might be a little scared or nervous about taking the trash out in the dark, so I might get triggered because it's a little spooky out there. So I might say, oh, I should take the trash out. But my lizard brain goes, oh, no, danger. You don't want to do that. You better go do this instead. But the trash is coming in the morning. Yeah, but so your brain is telling you to do something. And even though the one side is going, but we really need to do this, the other side, your unconscious brain, your lizard brain is going, oh, that's dangerous. You don't want to do that. And even though I go, but you know what? I don't live in that neighborhood anymore. That was really spooky. That I probably didn't want to take my trash out after dark. I live in a really nice, safe place. So it is safe, but I'm getting triggered because it's dark and I'm taking my trash out, and I'm thinking, my lizard brain's going, this was 20 years ago when you were living in that not so good neighborhood. So you don't want to go out. It's not telling me the truth, because it is safe now to go out and take my trash out. So those are little simple examples of what it can do, but it can also be bigger ones that really impact our daily life of, of how we go through our day. It's, if you're stuck at doing something, where you really want to get moving forward and you just can't move forward, you're just really stuck. You probably are saying that word need. I need to go do this. I need to get myself going. I need to get unstuck. But you don't know how, because you're in that reptilian brain. So how do you get out of that? So now that you recognize these key words, what do we do next? So here's a couple really quick and easy ones. Now, some of it is easy, and some of it is a little more challenging, and that's where my coaching comes into play. But just to kind of play with it and see how it works for you. And we really need simple techniques, because again, we're in the fight or flight response system and it's unconscious. You don't have a whole lot of time, and it's really hard to break through that. So it needs to be something simple that we can access readily. So the first thing everybody can do and it's called breathing. And the more air we can get in and good breaths come in, it kind of puts a little hiccup in that fight or flight response system. Because the fight or flight response system, we tend to breathe more shallowly, and we don't breathe real well anyway throughout the day. But when we get triggered, we really go into a really very shallow breathing. And so we want to get good air in. That uh, lowers our blood pressure, slows things down, makes us calmer, and we can start accessing our thinking brain. So breathe, and I like to do my breathing in fours, where you take a deep breath, count on a count of four, hold it for a count of four, let it go for a count of four, and do it 4 times. By the time you do it, that whole repetition 4 times, you pretty much have pulled yourself out of that fight or flight response system. The other thing I like to do then is I like to go into my gratitude emotions. And gratitudes are very high frequency emotions. And it doesn't have to pertain to whatever issue you're trying to do. You know, if, again, I'll use the going out to trash and it's dark and I'm spooked by it. If I take my deep breaths and go, you know what, I'm grateful for my dogs are really sweet and cute. You know, I'm so glad that they are a lot of fun. They're making me have fun. I love my farm. I'm so glad to live on my farm. I come up with something I feel very grateful for. And it really doesn't have to pertain to whatever the issue is. While I'm thinking of those things, my master chef brain is brewing those emotions of loving my pets and my animals and my farm, and it's all those good chemicals are going into my body. It takes about 2 minutes, and my emotions start shifting out of, again, that fight or flight. It's countering the adrenaline that was getting triggered by the reptilian brain, the fight or flight response system. And so now I'm getting into the parasympathetic response system, which is the calming brain. And I can get into my thinking brain. I can make decisions. I go, oh, wait, I just got triggered. Do I really want my lizard brain to make decisions right now? I need to get the trash out because I don't want to get up super early. The trash guy comes at 6 in the morning. I'm not getting up that early. I'm taking it out now. And I'll go do it. Okay. So I do those real simple steps. Where some people, where we need to get into more complex, a little more coaching, is when we have some specific issues, and I have some extra coaching involved with it. We get into some other, I tailor some of the next keywords that we use, some mantras that we use to help you get moving forward. And those, I have to tailor it a little bit to each person, but our words really matter. And so changing some of it, because we don't realize how much of our negative, the language we use can be really that negative emotional component to it. And again, anytime we talk about negative emotions, there's the fear component. We're going into the fight or flight response system. So part of the habit changing is learning how to change our language about an experience. It's kind of, again, going back to those multiple people seeing the same incident. We ourselves can change how we view that same incident, that same experience, going out of our fight or flight response system into our conscious brain. But we need to create a new habit and then a new language in how we perceive certain experiences. And so that's where a lot of us need a little extra coaching on helping guide you into that new habit. And it's just a habit that we're creating. And so, but I encourage you to try just doing the breathing and some gratitudes and see if it doesn't help break up, change you from being stuck or changing you from doing a habit that you've been wanting to change. Don't start with a hard habit. Start with something smaller and simpler, and just see if you can't notice a difference. Or if you're being triggered and you got cut off on the freeway or something and you mad, you get really agitated by it. Try breathing in your gratitudes and see if you don't notice, oh, I feel better. Well, I don't need to be mad about that. go on your merry way. I'm grateful that I'm safe now and I can keep driving to my destination. So just play with it and see if you don't notice a difference of how you feel from before with your lizard brain taking over versus getting out of it and going to your conscious brain. And you really do feel a difference. So with that, I'm going to open it up. I thank you again for coming on. Oops. Oh, I thought I had my events page there. Anyway, I'm going to stop sharing here for a second. Before we get on, I'll just talk a little bit about some of my events that I have coming up. We got a couple more webinars. Actually, I have one more this month. We have an extra one. I usually do 2 a month, but I decided to do a bonus webinar. It's the last Wednesday of the month, same time, 6 p.m. Pacific time. And it's just called the bonus webinar. You can find it on my website, or I'll be sending out some emails to folks about it. And it's going to be kind of like the one that I did a couple months ago called the surprise webinar. Because I don't know what it's going to be about. It's going to be on the fly, intuition. Intuition, one of those intuitive moments where I don't get to prepare for it and allow intuition guide us. And you can come in with animal questions or your own human questions. The last time we did it was kind of fun. Once I got out of my lizard brain and just trusting the topic and trusting that spirit will provide the right topic at the right moment. And we had some great conversation with everybody that came on that night. So that's going to be the end of this month. And in December, we're going to do some webinars, one for animals and one for humans again. But we're going to focus it on the holidays because some people have a hard time with the holidays. And people are going to be getting maybe some new pets or thinking about getting new pets around the holidays. We'll be talking a little bit about that. Or people might be going on vacations through the holidays, and that can be anxiety provoking for your pets and for yourself. So we'll be talking a little bit about the holidays and what it means with your pets or pets to be, and how we can help you with that. And then January, we got a couple of fun things coming up for you guys, some surprise stuff. And I'm working on a webinar class for animal communication. I've been teaching an animal communication class for a number of years now in person, but I thought it'd be fun. It's hard to do that other than in the spring and summers where I teach on a farm with alpacas. So I can't bring that. I'm afraid I'm not going to bring my alpacas in the house to teach this class, but we're going to do it webinar format, and it'll probably be about, I'm not sure if it's going to be 3 or 4 weeks yet, but it'll be 1 hour class time. And then we're going to create a Facebook group just specifically for that class. So people will be able to ask questions, and we're going to give you practice animals to work with and do some really fun stuff. But I'll be guiding you through all the steps that I would be teaching if it was in person, and we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to be doing it as a pilot. I'm hoping I can get it all pulled together in January to start it. And so look for that, and I'm hoping that'll be a lot of fun. So we'll offer it as a pilot for you guys that come on to the webinars and on my list. And then once we get the bugs worked out, we'll go out to the world. But for you guys, we're going to have it special for you guys to get your foot in the door. And I'll really appreciate your feedback on what we can do to make it better, so that I think this will be if I can work out all the bugs, I think this will be a great way to teach all year long and not just have to do it in person and wait. although I don't want to give that up either because that's a lot of fun to teach the class with the alpacas and in person. So, but anyway, with that, I'm going to open it up and you guys can ask questions and do demos. Anybody that would like to experience it, you haven't experienced any releases. So I didn't get into how I work too much in this topic, but what I can do for folks that haven't experienced my work before is I intuitively can figure out what emotions are causing certain issues, and it can be both emotional habit type of issues or actual physical issues, because mind, body, spirit, we store issues in our tissues. And those where those trapped emotions lodge into our body, they can actually create physical issues. And so I work on removing that. So some people may have backaches or whatever, knee problems, different issues going on, physical ones, and I quite often will feel it in my body, and I can identify the emotions that are associated with it and get rid of them, and hopefully you notice a change and you feel better. So some of it can be really dramatic and you feel a difference immediately. Some other times, I never know who it benefits a lot and who needs more sessions. So anyway, with that, please type in your questions, I might just pick on people. You're not careful. Don't be shy, and you can put it in. You can raise your hand. Um, let's see if anybody wants to have a demo done for them. Oh, Sonia. See if I can get you unmuted. I don't know if you have sound capability. I'm trying. It might be on your end. You need to unmute yourself. There you are. Hi, Sonia.
Hi, how you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good.
So how can I help?
I have a house full of animals over here, and they seem to be getting along, but I guess it's still I have to give them a little bit more time. The cats are sleeping on the beds. The dog wants to sleep on the bed. You know, they're chasing each other, but you know, no harm is being done. So I guess I'm okay with that.
Okay. Good.
One of the baby cats, the younger cat, she just cries a lot, and she's like, you know, such an innocent little thing.
Okay. Do you have the name for the baby cat?
Yeah, Bella, she, you know, she just cries a lot, you know, and she kind of stays off on her own. Her mother gets onto the bed, and there's a third cat, Leo, and he's coming around very nicely. He was very skittish at the beginning, but, you know, they're all in the house now, sleeping all over the place. And once in a while, the mother will come over and start beating the crap out of the son. And I don't know what her problem is, you know. And she does the same thing to the other one. I says, "What's your problem? They're not doing nothing to you."
You did this to me. Okay, well let's focus on Bella because she's crying. We don't want her to. Let's see if we can help her.
Yeah, she's a real sensitive. They're all sensitive.
Yeah. You know, as they grow and change and evolve, they're all everybody tries to figure out how they fit in the dynamics, and some may mature faster than others, and sometimes mom just needs to set her boundaries and make them realize she's still the boss.
Yeah.
And then we have one that is, just more insecure, like Bella. So let's see what we can release for Bella and see if we can't help her a little bit. Give me a second.
Thank you.
Okay, got wishy-washy. She's not
Wishy.
wishy-washy it's a little different than oh, what's the emotion I'm thinking of? Indecisive. indecisive is if you have two things to choose from, you'll say, I'm not sure if I want A or B. So I'm just not sure do I want, A or B. I can't decide. That's
That's
indecisive. Wishy-washy is you have this A and B choices, and it says, "Oh, I decided I'm going to take A. No, I'm going to take B. No, 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 I want A."
sure. Yeah,
So
that's so.
you're flipping flop. You make a decision, but then you go, no, 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 I want it. So indecision, you're not making a decision yet. Whereas wishy-washy, you make a decision and you go, no, no, you're going back and forth. So that's the difference. They're similar, but they're different.
Yeah.
So I'm clearing that out of Bella. Overwhelm is the other emotion. So I'm going to clear that. And I just felt the shift. So I like to experience this shift, especially with animals. And it doesn't usually take, especially little ones, you can only release only a couple emotions because they're little. And
Yeah.
again, I'm releasing actual emotion that have chemicals, and they have to process those out. If I release too much, then those chemicals will just get stuck again. So they're this whatever the being is, will tell me, their subconscious will tell me how much I can release in one setting. And so,
Okay.
that is it for Bella. So thank you for that. Um, Hopefully, let me know how she does if that doesn't help with her crying a little bit.
Yeah. And Leo seems to be doing okay. He's a little shy, but he's the guy. He found. I think the mother brought a mouse to the door, and he's the one that took it and ran off. I think he ate it. I'm not too sure.
Okay. Well, you may find out later.
Yeah. Well, at least they're earning their keep.
Yeah. Oh, thank you for that, Sonia.
And she seems to be doing okay, but sometimes I feel she feels a little jealous, I guess, and Rusty too.
Yeah, yeah. Well, when you have a lot of animals, there's a lot to balance out with making sure everybody gets their attention. That's for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
So Anne asked a question in the Q&A box. How do you help animals when there's smoke and fire? Yeah, in Southern California and Northern California, with all the horrible fires, and a lot of animals are impacted by it. Uh, there's a collective energy that goes on, that even animals that don't live in the area or will pick up sometimes. But even those that are living down south and smelling the smoke, and uh, just like us, they're more agitated. And so, what some things you can do for your own pet is breathe. And although that's not easy to do in that smoke, but do your best. I would try and keep them out of the smoke as much as possible, just like I would on a really cold day. I don't want to be out there breathing it. I would bring my animals as best as I can. Uh, Last summer, I can't bring my alpacas in, unfortunately. So I was concerned about them um, breathing in all that smoke last summer, because there's just nothing I could do for them that way. But I clear stuff for them if I feel like they're starting to get a little anxious. But they're also picking up a lot of the grief and fear and trauma of the animals that have gotten separated from their owners, that are in rescue places, or even maybe not separated. The people have put them into shelters themselves, that have evacuated and can't keep them, but the animals just don't know what's going on. And so those that people get a hold of me, I do my best to help clear. um, last year in the Southern California fires in the Santa Barbara Ventura area, I helped someone with a mini horse that took very sick at the very end, just as they were getting ready to take her home. But it was a lot because of the stress. Definitely as a result of all the stress, her immune system got weakened and she took very, very ill. And it was, we saved her. That's one of those experiences where it was important to work with the vet. And, she was in a vet hospital, equine vet hospital for several weeks. And I was doing almost daily energy work with her, and with all of us pouring as much as we had into her, she pulled through, and she's just the sweetest. I had the opportunity to meet her, and it was just wonderful getting to meet this cute, sweet horse. um so it can cause a lot of problems. So I would be using every tool that I had available, my essential oils. I'd be doing energy work. I'd be doing I like to do a modality called T-Touch. I'm not certified in teaching it, but you can Google T-Touch and learn some of the simple techniques. It really helps trigger the parasympathetic response system. And, those are the tools that I would be using for my animals if I were living down there right now. And the more you do it, uh, just as a matter of course, and not wait until you see them sick, the better. You'll hopefully get them through the trauma before they do get sick. So good question, Anne. Thank you for that. Anyone else? Go ahead and raise your hand, or I might see if I can get somebody who has never experienced that, or I'm not sure. I talked to Irene before we got started. Hi, Irene. Are you there?
I'm here.
Hi. Would you like to have anything or have any questions? Or
not right now. I'm listening.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
But I'm a
Glad
little
you
more
joined us.
comfortable.
Good. and that's always important to say no, thank you. Anybody else? Let's see. Oh, Anne asked more about the calming essential oils. Yeah, I use a company for animals. I like to use a company called Animal EO, and it's animal and then the letter EO. .info is their website. I don't have any business relationship with them, but I trust their oils. It's made by a vet, and so especially people with cats. Some oils are not safe to use with cats. So I trust her oils, and she wouldn't provide anything that wasn't safe. And the same is true with birds as well. So I only recommend her oils to clients with animals. And she has some calming oils. So you can look at their website and see what they recommend. And they also have ones for breathing, for respiration, for the respiratory system. And so if you're concerned about smoke, I would definitely get those oils as well as the calming ones, and that would help support the lungs as well. So good question. So Gail, I think I can make you have voice. Oop, I am there. Are you there, Gail?
Yes,
So you had a question about Shane?
I did. He had surgery to remove a lump just about a week ago, and there was some stubbornness issues that he had when we were talking the last time, and I was wondering if he was still holding that emotional threshold for that for that particular emotion.
Was it the left leg?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm feeling something in the left leg. Um, he said, "Oh yeah." It's not just a simple. I think that is one of his traits. So he probably has a series. So one of the things I can do that let me check in with him. and see if we can find out how many in that spot, in that region, because it gets a little dicey. Emotions are limited. Our language and how we talk about emotions is very limiting. So we will use one word we say stubbornness, but we can have thousands of different definitions of stubbornness. And so each one of those definitions has a little bit different recipe to it. And that because it has a slightly different recipe to it, it has a slightly different frequency. And
Okay.
so where it will get lodged and then attract other emotions can be different. So wherever the first one gets lodged, anytime it has a similar emotion or with that frequency signature, it'll attract that emotion to that spot, which then becomes a weakness in that area. So you can have different types of stubbornness, and that other definition, for Shane, that version of stubbornness went to that spot in his leg. He could have other types of stubbornness and go into different parts of the body. So we have to, I'm asking specifically for that spot in his leg, how many emotions of stubbornness emotions exist. So it doesn't mean I would be able to release every stubbornness out of his whole body. I'm just focusing in that one spot. So I'm going to ask how many in that one spot that created the issue in the first place. $73.
Wow. Wow.
And so we could clear, well, let me see if how many I can clear right this second. 14. So one of, like I mentioned in my about me part, I keep working on expanding my capabilities. So I'm working now on batching and being able to release things
Mm.
in similar frequencies again in a bigger batch. So it's not just one at a time. I'm trying to expand that out. So how many can I release? So I got that I can release 14. So 4 at a time. So I'm going to release 4 at a time. Cleared first 4, next 4 I cleared. Okay, clear the next 4 and the next 2. Okay, so I cleared all 14. There. The knee feels or that leg feels a little bit better, but it still feels a little wonky. So we might want to release more of those, or you can do it, Gail. You know how to do that. You can just ask probably each day, ask how many in that spot can I release today. And you might have to release them one at a time, or you can ask if you can release it in batches as well. But it's
And that's specific for that location?
mm-hmm.
Okay.
Case. Sometimes an animal will give me a more generic, or a person will give me like, I just need something cleared, and we just trust their subconscious to guide us what we need to release. But when we have a specific issue, and it may not, believe it or not, again, we have to be careful how I ask the question. So when I'm working and training people how to do this for themselves, we have to kind of be careful how we ask for it, because we get stuck in going, oh, I want to release it in the knee, that one spot. But where the trapped emotion may not be in the knee. It's just that's where they're feeling the problem. So I have to ask to say, I ask what for the issue that's resulting in the knee.
Resulting in the knee. Okay.
Yeah. So
Mm.
I have to be really careful because they take it literally. When I ask a question, it's very literal. So sometimes I'm not asking the right question. So I have to be very careful on how I ask the questions, and then I get answers. And so people that are maybe new to watching me working right now, I'm asking the animal, in this case, yes and no questions. And so some of it is just experience in asking animals a lot of questions on what I can ask, and then how I frame it. And the same is true when I work with humans too, and working on helping you unblock a trapped emotion that might be causing an issue. Um, and I'm finding that if I can find the root cause, the initial thing that started it, that started the weakness in the first place, it usually attracts a whole lot of emotions. If it's at that point where we get weakened and it's causing a physical issue like Shane's, then it's not uncommon to find the 70 some emotions in that spot. It can go well into the hundreds, depending on how long it's been building up. But that's a weak spot, and it becomes a habit. That stubbornness, because that got started. Now, okay, I'm going to be stubborn again. Okay, I'm going to be stubborn again. Okay, I'm going to be stubborn again. So we're in that habit now. So part of it too then is, how do we shift out of having that habit of the stubbornness, if that's causing a problem for him. But some of it is his personality. Some of it could be, or now it's part of his personality, or it may have been inherited, and so it started as, that just got in his DNA. But we can certainly work with him and try and can talk him into reframing the stubbornness into something that is more flexible. Be more flexible about something that's going on. We could work together on coming up with the behavior we rather have instead. And if it feels better, this is where animals work a lot better than us humans, is that if it actually feels better to do it the way that the owner and I come up with, to communicate to the dog what we'd rather have them do instead of how they're behaving now, that if they feel it and experience it, go, oh, that feels better, they're more likely to then default to that as opposed to the negative behavior.
That's a good point.
That's when we would want to come up with a new behavior. Otherwise, they're just going to default right back to what they've already known.
Okay.
So
Thank you.
think about what other behavior you'd rather have them be, unless you don't care.
Right. No, I think it's important for him in the community of dogs we have. So
Right.
I think
So
that
it
would
might
be
just be more
worthwhile.
or just more compromising or whatever it might be. Kind of think about how you would like him to be, and then we could talk to him about it as we remove more of these trapped emotions. This is what we'd rather you do. Because again, it's not enough sometimes just to remove the trapped emotion. We have to tell them what we do want instead. That's the finishing part. Otherwise, they will default back to what they've already known. And they'll just go back to the same habit. And we don't want that. So
Thank you so much.
you're welcome. Thank you. Sam typed in a question. Can your fears be expressed in dreams? If so, how do you do the exercises? Last night, I dreamt I was home from college class for just 1 hour. I went upstairs and found bees clustered in a hive in the window. I couldn't fix it because I had to get back to class. Then right before I woke up, a hummingbird flew in like it was a TV screen, just flew across the screen. I'm allergic to bee stings, so I do have a fear of bees. Okay, dreams are great. Dreams are coming from our subconscious, and they give us clues of what's going on in our subconscious mind that wants to be addressed. It's working on an issue, and so it kind of creates a screenplay, if you will, of whatever that issue is, and it's all using metaphor. So a lot of times we have to be careful not to take things literally, because the images that it's coming up with are giving us information, but it's not necessarily literal. So yes, you have a fear of bees, so perhaps the bees are coming in to talk to you about it. But I would look at, and there's a couple of books that I would look up. Um, I don't know if I can get it really fast here. Let's see, because you talked about a couple things. I would look up hummingbird and I would look up bees. Let's see if I can get those really fast. I have it on my phone, but I don't have my glasses on, so it could be challenging. Let's see, there's bee. B shows up, it's time to get organized and get work on that idea that you want to implement and develop. Approach your projects with commitment, diligence, and dedication, and you'll succeed beyond your wildest expectations. Involve several others in a cooperative and life-affirming venture, one in which everyone who participates will benefit. Because bees work in a community, so we would. That's why it's talking about working in cooperation with others, because that's how they live. They exist in a community, and they all have their jobs to do. And then I would look up hummingbird, because that was also important. Something, hummingbirds are interesting because they can fly forward and backwards and up and down, kind of like a helicopter. And so a lot of times they represent being able to look at your life in a dream state, kind of a vision where you're looking back and forward at the same time. Time and space don't mean as much, because they kind of break the rules on how they fly. So the dreams can definitely work on helping us understand our fears. Now, a lot of nightmares are called shadow dreams. If you have a boogeyman, or you're being chased or something like that, that's what they call a shadow dream, and that really is our unconscious wanting to come out, and it's scaring us. But once we become aware of it and bring it out into the light, it's no longer in the shadows. So our dream is trying to help us bring those things in our subconscious, that's in our shadow, that's not in our awareness yet. It's still in our lizard brain, and it's working to help us become aware of it. So that's how dreams, even though they can be scary or uncomfortable, it's really trying to help us become more conscious. And so we can really use our dreams, and it can be fun. I really enjoyed dream work. I keep a dream journal. It's really valuable to write down your dreams, and one, it helps you remember them, but you can also start seeing trends. You may get themes, recurring dreams. Those are really rich in information, and I work a lot with people in their dreams, so anybody that has dreams. um, I started a new closed Facebook group called Your Energy Healer, so I encourage all of you to join that. It's a closed, so that people can share personal stuff, and it's just geared to helping you folks learn about how to communicate with animals. It can or open up to your intuition, understand your dreams, just help you be your most authentic self. And I have it closed so it's safe for us to have those conversations. And I post different things and ideas and give you suggestions on things to do. But it's a great place to write down your dreams and share them, and then everybody can learn about how we can use our dreams. So I encourage you all to come and join that Facebook group. I'll be sending you an email about it if you can't remember, Your Energy Healer. And encourage you to join that, and there'll be other special things that just open to those that are in that group that won't be open to others. So Sammy wrote, I have the Animal Wise book by Ted Andrews. They didn't have Bees and Hummingbird, and well, he has several books. So the one that I just used is called what is that one called? Animal Spirit. It's by I can never remember. Animal Spirit Guides by Stephen Farmer. And I like his book. It's a nice little one, and I have it on my phone. And because when I'm out and about in an animal spirit will show up, I don't like to wait until I get home because I tend to forget, and I want to understand what it's trying to tell me. So a lot of times I'll get things in threes. All of a sudden I'll see three hawks, in different things. It may be a picture of one, and then I'll see a real one out in my field, and something else will come up, and I go, okay, I gotta know what hawk is trying to tell me. And so I'll go to my book, and it will give me information off of that, and I'll go, oh, oh, that makes sense. Okay, that's opening up, or it gives me validation on something that I might be working on internally myself, that I'm on the right track. Or if I'm not on the right track, it'll say, hey, you're not on the right track. You might want to shift your thinking and look over here, because your lizard brain is heading you in the wrong direction, most likely. The intuitive brain is not taking us in the wrong direction. Our lizard brain will take us in the wrong direction because it doesn't tell us the truth all the time. Let's see. Sonia wrote, I chose a wolf as my vanity plate for my car. So that's cool. Yeah. So we may have a spirit animal that is our main spirit animal that is kind of guides us all the time. For you, Sonia, that's probably the wolf. Mine tends to shift. Whale has been a big one throughout my life, from teens on up, but especially as I opened up into my intuition, the whale comes in, or I'm growing into something. That's how I pick things up. Sometimes as a whale comes in during a meditation, and even though it doesn't say real words, I can actually feel a data dump into my head as these whales tell me what push me to a new level. So whales are an important spirit animal for me. But other ones come and go depending on what's going on during that period of time. Lately, hawks. I brought up hawks just as my example, because hawks are appearing all over the place lately for me. And so that's probably something that I'd have to be aware of and tuned in, whatever the hawk message is. And that would fit with how I'm dealing with things. So any other questions? We're at the top of the hour. So again, I encourage you to go to my website if you're interested in sessions. I have some openings. I know we've got Thanksgiving coming up. I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving, and be safe out there if you're driving and commuting anywhere. And I like to just kind of end doing something for everybody. And I've done this a couple times. There's a collective energy going on right now that's really intense. There's a lot of grief with the fires in Southern California, and just a high level of anxiety out there, just collectively. And so if you're open to it, you don't have to accept it. It's all open. But I'd like to try and balance everybody as a group. It's something I'm experimenting with. So anybody that's willing to participate, you can do so. If you don't want to, you can just say no thank you mentally, and the energy won't come to you. But I'm going to tune everybody, kind of like an orchestra. Um, and I'm tuning us to love or above. So it's a very beautiful high frequency that just feels good. I'm not going to be clearing anything off of anybody. I'm just going to balance your energies, and hopefully it'll feel good. So with that, I would like to end things. Welcome to go to my website and check things out. It's www.beananimallistener.com. And again, I've got a number of sessions open this week and next before the holidays. And I'll be open Friday, so anybody that needs anything after Black Friday, if you need help for dealing with Black Friday, I will be here because I am not going near a mall. Anyway, with that, I'm going to go ahead and tune everybody. That'll just take me a moment, and then we will call it a night. And thank you, everybody, for coming on tonight. I appreciate all of you coming and spending your time with me. So I will be quiet for a moment as I work on tuning all of you who are interested in receiving this energy. And as we also do it, if you wouldn't mind combining my energy and sending it out to those who have been harmed by the fire, both animal and humans, all the fires that are happening down in California. Very good. Thank you all. I hope you all noticed that beautiful energy. I felt a nice shift in everybody. Went very relaxed and peaceful. And so again, thank you all for coming in tonight, and look forward to seeing you again real soon. Have a great evening.